There comes a moment in every life when you realize that your circumstances are not the authors of your destiny. They are only the shadows cast by the thoughts you repeatedly entertain. The world you see is not happening to you, it is happening through you. And today, I will show you how to command your reality with the same authority and certainty that you command your own breath. Every word you speak carries a signature of energy that moves ahead of you and begins shaping the conditions you eventually walk into. Most people speak without awareness, releasing phrases that contradict the very outcomes they desire, and then they wonder why life seems unresponsive or unpredictable. When you begin to understand that your words are not casual expressions, but precise commands that signal the direction of your destiny, you step into an entirely different level of personal authority. Words are not simply sounds that fade into the air. They are instructions that life receives and mirrors back in experiences, opportunities, and outcomes. When someone repeatedly declares that nothing works out for them, they unknowingly authorize a pattern that reinforces that belief. When someone speaks confidently about what they expect to receive, even before evidence appears, they activate a creative momentum that brings that expectation into form. The spoken word is a tool, a bridge, a creative instrument that carries the essence of your intention into the fabric of reality. To command your reality, you must first command your speech. This means speaking from the place of what you desire rather than what you fear. It means choosing language that aligns with the experience you want to create, because every sentence becomes a seed that will eventually take root. There is a profound difference between describing your circumstances and declaring your direction. Description keeps you tied to what already exists. Declaration opens the door to what has not yet appeared but is capable of. Manifesting. When you give your words the authority of certainty, life responds accordingly. It is not the loudness of the command, but the clarity of the conviction behind it that gives it power. A whisper of faith carries more force than a shout of doubt. When you choose to speak deliberately, you shift from being a passive observer of your life to being an intentional creator of it. You begin to notice the patterns your words weave, the emotions they evoke, the expectations they reinforce. You learn to pause before you react, to choose language that aligns with your purpose, and to redirect conversations that invite limitation. The transformation begins in the smallest phrases. I always receive what I need. Every step I take opens a greater path. Life supports me in ways I cannot see yet. These are not empty affirmations. They are commands that instruct your inner world to align with cooperation rather than conflict, with trust rather than tension. Over time, your words become the architecture of your future, building experiences that match the vibration you consistently express. When you command your reality through your speech, you reclaim power that has always been yours, but has often been used unconsciously. Speaking with intention is an act of leadership over your own life. It is the declaration that you are willing to guide your experience rather than drift through it. It is the conscious choice to create through clarity rather than react out of habit. And as you practice this, your relationship with life changes. You no longer wait for external validation to speak your truth. You speak it because it is the blueprint of the reality you are choosing to build. Expectation is the quiet force that shapes the flow of outcomes long before you see any physical evidence. While words give form to your intentions, expectation gives them direction and momentum. It is the inner agreement you make with yourself about what you believe is possible and what you believe you deserve. Many people desire good things, yet unconsciously expect difficulty, delay, or disappointment. This conflict creates a divided signal that weakens the power of their desire. Expectation is not a loud announcement. It is a steady internal vibration that sends a message to life about what you are prepared to receive. When your expectation is rooted in fear, life reflects that back through obstacles and uncertainty. When your expectation is grounded in confidence and trust, life mirrors that through opportunities, synchronicities, and effortless progress. Expectation becomes the architect of your outcomes because it influences the choices you make, the energy you project, and the lens through which you interpret every event. Two people can encounter the same situation, yet the one who expects success will notice possibilities the other overlooks. This is not imagination. It is the natural result of the mind filtering reality through the pattern it believes is true. Expectation is always operating, whether consciously or unconsciously. The key is to bring it into awareness so you can direct it with intention rather than leaving it shaped by old fears or past disappointments. When you begin to observe your expectations, you notice the subtle predictions you make throughout the day. You see moments where you assume something will go wrong or where you prepare yourself for rejection before anything has happened. These predictions are not harmless. They create emotional states that influence your actions and decisions. An expectation of failure may cause hesitation, which leads to missed opportunities. An expectation of ease may create the confidence that allows you to take the step that initiates progress. Expectation becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because it shapes not only how life responds but also how you show up. To command your reality, you must train your expectation to align with the outcomes you desire rather than the fears you have inherited. This training begins with awareness and continues through repetition. You shift your expectation by consistently directing your inner dialogue toward the outcome you want to create. You replace patterns of doubt with patterns of trust. You remind yourself that what you seek is seeking you, not as a poetic idea, but as a functional truth. When you expect good, you open the emotional channels that allow good to flow. You begin to interpret challenges as temporary rather than defining, and you recognize small signs of progress as confirmation rather than coincidence. Your environment starts to reflect your new internal posture. People respond differently. Opportunities appear where there were none before. Doors that once seemed locked begin to open, not because life suddenly changed, but because your expectations shifted and life followed. Expectation carries creative authority because it is rooted in belief rather than wishful thinking. Wishing is passive. Expecting is active. Wishing says it would be nice if this happened. Expecting says this outcome belongs to me and is already on its way. This inner certainty radiates through your choices, your energy, and your interactions. It influences how you speak, how you act, and how you interpret what unfolds. When you combine deliberate words with aligned expectation, you create a powerful partnership between your conscious intention and the deeper currents of your belief system. Life begins to respond with remarkable precision because your inner and outer signals match. This is how you command your reality, not through force, but through alignment with the natural laws of creation that respond to expectation with unwavering loyalty. Imagination is the silent workshop where every future event is shaped long before it enters your physical experience. Most people believe imagination is entertainment or escape, but it is one of the most powerful creative forces you possess. Every invention, every breakthrough, every transformation first existed in the unseen realm of the mind before becoming visible in the world. When you visualize your desires with clarity and emotional involvement, you give life a pattern to follow. You create an internal picture that becomes a magnetic instruction for your outer circumstances. The mind does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically real. It responds to the picture with the same emotional and physiological reactions, which means the moment you imagine something deeply enough, you begin aligning your thoughts, feelings, and actions with that image. This alignment becomes a powerful force that guides you toward the experience you envisioned. The mistake many people make is imagining what they fear, imagining worst outcomes, imagining obstacles and delays. They rehearse negative scenarios subconsciously and then wonder why similar events seem to materialize. Imagination is always active. The key is to consciously direct it, instead of letting old memories or uncertainties control it. When you deliberately choose the images you hold in your mind, you choose the experiences you move toward. The more detailed and emotionally alive your inner picture becomes, the stronger the signal you send to your subconscious mind. You begin to think in harmony with the outcome you want, and those thoughts attract inspiration and opportunities that match your inner world. Imagination allows you to step into a future version of yourself and feel the confidence, joy, relief, or gratitude that this desired outcome would bring. Feeling it in advance creates the emotional signature that aligns your current self with your future self. You begin to act in ways that support the experience you have already accepted within. If you imagine success with anxiety, the image loses power. If you imagine it with certainty, your mind begins to treat it as a destination rather than a distant fantasy. This is why visualization has been used for centuries as a tool for healing, achievement, and transformation. It is the rehearsal that prepares the mind to claim the outcome before physical evidence appears. When you imagine consistently and confidently, your inner world becomes more real to you than your doubts, and once that shift happens, your outer world has no choice but to follow. Emotion is the amplifier that determines the strength of your inner commands. Words create intention, imagination creates form, but emotion breathes life into both. Without emotion, your words remain intellectual concepts and your images remain empty pictures. Emotion is the electricity that charges your desires with creative force. It is what transforms a simple thought into a powerful signal that influences your subconscious mind and the environment around you. Most people allow their emotions to be shaped by external circumstances, reacting to events instead of generating feelings that support their intentions. To command your reality, you must reverse this order. You must feel from the place of your desire rather than waiting for circumstances to give you permission to feel. Emotion is a choice, even though it rarely feels like one. When you choose to feel gratitude before receiving, confidence before winning, joy before evidence appears, you create a vibration that begins to attract conditions that match those feelings. This is not magic. It is the natural law of resonance between internal states and external experiences. The reason emotion is so powerful is that it communicates with the subconscious mind in a way logic cannot. You can tell yourself 1,000 times that something is possible, but if your dominant feeling contradicts it, your subconscious will obey the emotion, not the words. Emotion is the true language of belief. When your feelings support your intentions, your mind becomes unified and your actions become aligned. When your feelings oppose your intentions, your mind remains divided and progress becomes difficult. Emotion also influences your physical presence in profound ways. It affects your tone of voice, your posture, your confidence, your creativity, and even the opportunities you notice or attract. A person who feels defeated unconsciously sends signals of hesitation, while a person who feels empowered sends signals of readiness. Life responds to these signals through people, events, and timing. Learning to generate the emotional state that matches your desired experience is one of the most important skills for shaping your reality. This begins with awareness, noticing how often your emotions drift toward worry, doubt, or frustration, and gently redirecting them toward trust, clarity, and anticipation. It does not mean forcing yourself to feel happy at all times. It means choosing emotions that support your direction rather than sabotage it. You can begin by recalling moments where you felt the emotion you want to embody. You can visualize the outcome and allow the feeling to rise naturally. You can shift your inner dialogue to reflect the belief that everything is unfolding for your highest good. Over time, this emotional discipline becomes second nature. Your feelings become aligned with your vision becomes aligned with your words, and your words become aligned with your actions. This harmony creates a powerful current that moves you toward your desired reality with greater ease. Emotion is the heartbeat of creation, the invisible force that fuels every transformation. When you learn to master it, you unlock a level of creative authority that reshapes your entire experience from the inside out. Faith is the invisible strength that carries your desires from the realm of possibility into the realm of certainty. It is not an abstract belief or a passive hope. Faith is the inner conviction that what you seek already exists in the unseen and is moving toward you in ways you may not yet understand. Many people speak of faith as something fragile, something easily disturbed by external circumstances, but true faith is not influenced by what the eyes see. It is shaped by the deeper awareness that life is always working in harmony with your highest good when you align yourself with trust rather than fear. Fear is loud and immediate. It distracts the mind and shortens your vision. Faith is quiet but unwavering. It expands your possibilities and clears the path for clarity, inspiration, and opportunity. When faith becomes the foundation of your thoughts, your emotions, and your decisions, Obstacles lose their power because you stop interpreting them as endings and begin seeing them as temporary steps in a process that is still unfolding. Faith dissolves fear because both cannot occupy the same emotional space at the same time. The moment you choose to trust a higher order, your mind begins to release the tension that fear creates. You start noticing solutions you previously overlooked. You feel guided toward actions that move you forward instead of holding you still. Fear limits the imagination, but faith expands it. Fear freezes momentum, but faith restores it. Fear focuses on what might go wrong, while faith focuses on the truth that something greater is possible. When you practice faith consistently, you begin to feel supported even before the evidence appears. You no longer measure progress by how quickly the outcome arrives, but by how aligned and confident you feel within. This internal alignment shapes your external experience in profound ways. People respond differently to you. Opportunities that were once hidden begin to surface. Timing becomes more favorable, not because life has suddenly changed, but because your state of consciousness has shifted into alignment with what you desire. Faith also opens doors that logic alone cannot. There are moments in life when no amount of analysis can reveal the next step, when circumstances appear closed or uncertain. It is in these moments that faith becomes the key that turns impossibilities into possibilities. When you trust that a way will appear, you stay open, receptive and willing to move when the opportunity presents itself. Many breakthroughs happen precisely because someone refused to let fear dictate what was possible. They chose faith even when the situation seemed unclear. They held their inner certainty until the path revealed itself. This unwavering trust creates a magnetic field of confidence that draws circumstances into alignment. Faith is not passive waiting. It is active readiness. It is the belief that what belongs to you will find you, and that every step you take is guided toward the right outcome. Inspired action is the natural extension of this trust. Commanding your reality is not achieved through intention alone. It requires movement that aligns with the vision you hold. Inspired action is different from forced effort. Forced action comes from fear, impatience, or pressure. It feels heavy and uncertain. Inspired action feels clear, light, and purposeful. It arises from an inner nudge, a sense of direction, a sudden idea, or a renewed motivation that seems to come from beyond your usual thinking. This type of action carries a different energy. It moves you forward with ease rather than struggle because it is aligned with your internal belief, rather than your external concern. When you act from inspiration, you do not worry about the entire path. You focus on the next step that feels right, trusting that each step will reveal the next with perfect timing. Inspired action also creates momentum. When you take even the smallest step with intention, you signal to life that you are ready to receive what you have been asking for. This signal strengthens the energetic bridge between your inner vision and your outer reality. You begin to feel more confident, more connected to your goal, and more capable of achieving it. Progress becomes natural rather than forced. Many people believe that action alone produces results, but the quality of the action matters far more than the quantity. An action taken from fear or doubt often leads to misalignment. An action taken from clarity and trust often leads to breakthroughs. Inspired action is efficient because it flows from a state of internal harmony. It is not rushed, scattered, or confused. It is intentional, focused, and guided. When your faith and your actions become aligned, you enter a state of powerful cooperation with the forces that shape your reality. You no longer wait for certainty before moving. You move because your certainty is already within you. You no longer search for signs to prove what is possible. Your commitment becomes the sign that draws possibilities toward you. Each inspired step reinforces your belief, and each expression of belief attracts new opportunities for action. This partnership between inner conviction and outward movement creates an unstoppable momentum that transforms your life from the inside out. It allows you to command your reality with clarity, confidence, and purpose, not through force, but through alignment with the natural flow of creation.